Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Super Bowl edition of the Skew Zone. I'm your host, Tampa Tones. We're going to be welcomed and joined in by a couple of great guests today, including Tampa Stunna in the second half of the episode. The first half of the episode, we'll be riding with Texas T. Ross, Steven, a great Time Skew contributor, writer of fantasy football, and you could also catch him on the Armchair Quarterback Show twice a week, who are proud affiliates with both the Time Skew Podcast Network and CBS Sports. So that's pretty cool. We'll be talking with Steven about the Super Bowl score predictions, player of the game predictions, and then we'll ask him a couple fantasy football questions about this upcoming draft class and the impact they might have on fantasy football in 2021. And then we're going to bring in Tampa Stunna and ask him history of the Buccaneers, break down the game a little bit, history of the Chiefs. He's been a football fan for a very long time, and he has a lot of great historic opinions of the game. So it's going to be a lot of fun today. It's going to be two great guests, and it's going to be some good football conversation. We 24 hours plus before kickoff, 1.5 days roughly, and we're excited, man. If you're a Bucs fan, if you're a Chiefs fan, it's just exciting times. So going to be a great game. Hopefully you got the baby goat. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I got my coffee here and I almost spilled it, but you got the baby goat versus a big goat, and that's going to be a fun one. So many people think if Mahomes wins this one, his trajectory is going to surpass Brady one day. Many people think if Brady wins this one, this kind of cements him as the best of all time, in fact. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here between the baby goat and the goat. And I said I got coffee. Yes, I do. Go out and get our mugs today. You could find these on timeskew.com. You could go to our shop and perhaps get yourself one of these mugs, or you could get yourself a shirt. We have fantasy shirts. We have Time Skew shirts. We have other T-shirts, masks, socks, mugs, novelties, and more at timeskewed.com/shop. So look out for all of that. Just some great stuff over there, along with our podcast, our flagship show, the Time Skew Show. We got Cleve and me if you're a wrestling fan. We have Chain Clankers if you like disc golf. We got Big Rican on Sports, which covers New York and Cleveland sports. And then you have a couple of other great ones as well, including the Buccaneers, Cardboard, and Cracker Jacks, Fugazi Sports as well. You can catch all these podcasts and so much more content at timeskewed.com. You don't want to miss that. It's the Super Bowl. 2 days left to cover the NFL in the 2020 season, but shortly after, we'll be entering into the 2021 season, and a lot of things are heating up, and we have a lot to talk about next year already. But tomorrow's big game is going to be interesting. I'm excited to hear Steven's perspective on it. The media's perspective in general seems to be leaning Kansas City. Las Vegas seems to be leaning Kansas City, as the spread started at 3.5, and now it fluctuated down to 3, though. So who they're rooting for, we'll see what happens. Going to be interesting. Bucks money line is currently sitting at plus 140. A lot of MVP prediction bets going out there. A lot of the odds on these are good as well. So it's a lot of bets being made, a lot of merch being bought. As you can tell, I got my 2020 NFC Champions hat on from Fanatics. I know they're busy. I know they got a lot going on. I wish my Super Bowl jersey would have came in. I got one of Lenny F, but that's okay. I'm glad the hat was able to come in, at least for now. So, Super Bowl week, Tampa Bay hosting the Super Bowl. Might be the first time and might be the last time ever that we have a city hosting their own Super Bowl. Okay, Tampa Bay is the first team ever to be hosting the Super Bowl in their own stadium. The Buccaneers are home. They're technically home in terms of stadium, and in terms of stat sheets, they're technically the home team, apparent to the AFC here. So one interesting thing is, though, the Buccaneers are not going to be able to fire the cannons, and that's pretty fair if you think about it. But to me, they should be able to be fired perhaps for the game however they would like. I'm just not a fan of them taking the cannons away in general. I understand they don't want to do it for just the Bucks, but perhaps both teams I could see. But the Bucks are the home team in their home stadium, so interesting call by the NFL. We'll see if a team wins, either Chiefs or Bucks, if they will get fired. You never know what happens at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, but Tampa turning into title town as well, perhaps. They had the Rays make the World Series. They had the Lightning win the Stanley Cup. And then now they have the Buccaneers hosting a Super Bowl in Tampa. So Tampa sports, once laughed at a short time ago, now perhaps on the way up. Speaking of up, we got Steven joining here from Time Skewed and Armchair Quarterbacks. Great fantasy football guy and brain. So interesting to pick his brain on not only this game, but get a couple of fantasy questions about the 2021 season in as well. We're going to bring in Steven now. Steven, how we doing the day before the Super Bowl here?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I'm ready to go. I'm getting all my bets in, getting all my DFS done, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, a lot of bets being made, a lot of square sheets being signed, a lot of things being done today in terms of preparation for the games tomorrow. How is your outlook on the game tomorrow? I'm going to ask you first real quick, where can the people follow you at for your fantasy football thoughts and more?
You can follow me on Twitter at Texas Trosh. That is TROSCH. This game is so hard to project for me because, if you're looking at it on paper, the Chiefs are the better team. They have the better quarterback, better offense. The Bucs probably have better defense, but the Chiefs have one of the best offenses in NFL history. It's really hard to count them out. But then again, it's almost impossible to count Brady out of anything, whether it's him actually doing it or just lucking into situations that help him advance. It just luck follows Tom Brady. So it's really hard to ever count him out. But I still think the Chiefs take this one.
And what would you say the final score is then, Steven? What do you got the Chiefs winning this one at if you had to take a guess at it?
Probably it's going to be a closer game than people think. I think they're going to cover the spread, but it's going to be like something like the Dolphins, where it's going to be like a 30 to 24, like a 33 to 28 type game.
33-28. So we got a moderate scoring game, not too high scoring, but not too low scoring. That would be an interesting Super Bowl. Speaking of scoring, I actually heard something interesting where Tom Brady teams have not scored much in the first quarter of Super Bowls. Actually, I think it was all but no more than 3 points in those games. So how do you look for the Buccaneers and Tom Brady to perhaps adjust in tomorrow's game? He might have one of his most prolific offenses ever in a Super Bowl besides the one that he played with Randy Moss where they lost perhaps. But this one is Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Cam Brate are questionable for tomorrow, but both are expected to play. They have Rob Gronkowski in the fold, obviously, Scotty Miller, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, and the offensive line has been playing good. Do you think this trend of slow starts continues for the Buccaneers tomorrow, or do you expect them to perhaps get going early, unlike the first Chiefs game of the regular season this year?
I can see them starting slow again. Brady is not he has been good, has put up the numbers, but he has thrown a lot of bad passes. And the Chiefs defense, they're that secondary is full of ball hawks. So if Brady he really has to limit his mistakes tomorrow because the Chiefs can really swing that game in an instant.
Yeah, they got Breeland back there. They got Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu back there. They got some good guys. And Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, was actually a key part to those Giants winning teams back in the day, too, that gave the Patriots hard struggles. So that'll be interesting to see how he prepares his defense and to see if, it's different this time around. We'll see what happens. But they do have some ball hawks, as they have Bashaud Breeland, Tyrann Mathieu, Daniel Sorensen is a good playmaker as well. I remember him making a couple plays against both the Browns and the Bills. Not only is their secondary good, but they also got guys like Frank Clark and Chris Jones up front. Who do you think wins this battle of the trenches? Buccaneers offensive line or the Chiefs front seven? Do you see Leonard Fournette and Rojo having holes to run in tomorrow, or do you think the Chiefs clog those up and the Bucs will have to resort to the pass?
I think both teams are going to really be a pass, like just it's gonna be a very pass happy game. I mean, neither teams have a truly dominant running back, so I don't think we're gonna see what the Bills did against the Ravens, where there's only 9 running back carries as opposed to like 45 touches for Josh Allen. But I can easily see maybe 15 carries split between the 2 running backs on both teams. So like just because I don't think the offensive lines can handle the defense, like the defensive fronts of either team.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, we've seen the Buccaneers very reliant on their front seven the duration of the playoffs to get them to this point. So it'll be interesting to see if they're the relied upon group tomorrow as well. And once again, we are here with Stephen Troche, and you can follow him on Twitter at Texas T. Rosh, and he DFS writer for Bankster DFS, fantasy football writer for our very own Time Skew Pod, and you could catch him a couple times a week on the Armchair Quarterbacks show as well. If you were to put money down on a Super Bowl MVP tomorrow, if you were to have a prediction, who would you be picking here? I know there's a lot of guys on both sides of the ball, perhaps, that could stand out from the group, and history never really shows that you could win MVP on the losing side of the game, but there is a bet out there, times 50 if you bet that the MVP comes from the losing team. So that pretty much says that there is a lot of talent out there on each side of the ball. It's going to be a tough choice for MVP. Who would you put money on if you had to pick an MVP in tomorrow's game? Would it be Mahomes? Would it be Brady? Who would you pick?
So, I mean, Mahomes is the obvious choice, and but that's also why Vegas has him, I guess, the only one that's not at plus odds. I think he's like at a minus 130, 140 to be MVP. And if I'm betting that, I'm not going to bet something where it's not really making me money. So, like the 3 ones that I'm looking at, Tom Brady at plus 190. That's just if the Bucs win, it doesn't matter if Evans or Godwin go off for 5 touchdowns. Brady's going to be the MVP. But then the other 2 I'm looking at is if Mahomes isn't the one for the Chiefs, you have Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Kelce, I believe, is at a plus 1,100, and Tyreek Hill is plus 1,200. Great odds if either of those go off.
And the thing is, with all these odds, really, the only 2 down ones are Mahomes and Brady. Mahomes and Brady are the only 2 guys that are pretty much, around that 100 level, around that one line. Like you said, those wide receivers, plus 11, plus 1,200, you could get some great odds on those cats there. That wouldn't be too bad. So I like for MVP some sleepers. I agree with the guys you did. I even dove a little further into the bag in terms of Vegas potential, at least. I put a little bit of money on Buccaneers cornerback Carlton Davis at 200 to 1 odds.
Okay.
I threw a couple bucks on that because he had a rough game against Tyreek Hill the first time around, so he might be a big factor to their success if they happen to win this game. I also looked at Devin White, who's 45 to 1 odds. He's been playing some good football. And then Leonard Fournette at 25 to 1 odds. That's who I looked at for the Buccaneers pretty closely. And then, like you said, there's some good receivers with odds. You named Godwin and Evans, and then you looked at guys like Hill and whatnot. Antonio Brown's even like 85 to 1 odds, I think I've seen. Yeah. So you could get a lot of wide receivers or weapons at a pretty good going rate. I think that wouldn't be a bad bet for MVP at all. If you took $20 through 5 on 4 different guys, they're all pretty good odds. You could win some pretty good money there, as long as guys not named Mahomes or Brady are in the MVP. So real quick before we get to the fantasy pool or fantasy questions, do you like any prop bets or oddity bets tomorrow that are out there? I know some people bet the coin flip. I know some people do national anthem over under time. I know some people do the Gatorade color. Do you have any interesting bets, in particular prop bets, some might call them, during the Super Bowl that stands out over the rest?
So in terms of those types of bets, I really try to stay away from those, just because, they're just kind of random. There really is no logic that goes into it. It's just kind of you win. It just kind of happens. So the ones I'm really on, if we're talking about over unders, the really main ones I'm looking at are Tyreek Hill over 7.5 receptions He's hit that 5 of his last 9 games. I mean, he's just been a complete monster, and I think he has the best matchup on that offense. Another one I'm looking at is Tom Brady over 24.5 completions. That's at minus 112. Like I mentioned earlier, I think this is just going to be a very pass-happy game. And I think that the Tampa's going to be playing with a negative game script, which is going to mean more pass attempts for Brady. A couple touchdown props I'm looking at. Actually, like on the Tuesday show of Armchair Quarterbacks, the other host, Dave, mentioned this. Rob Gronkowski for an anytime touchdown. Just with all the stuff they have been through and the fact that they made it back to another Super Bowl again, you got to feel like Brady's going to be just hunting for a Gronk touchdown. That just something like that. Like an anytime touchdown is plus 175, and if you really want to make it spicy, I know they've been really slow starters, but first touchdown is plus 1,400.
Yeah, that would be really good. I do like that Gronk bet. I know a lot of people who are actually taking that Gronk bet. I think that's a really good one. The first touchdown one plus 1,400, that draws some interest as well. Obviously, given the report between Gronk and Brady, one that I do like here that's at least on Bet Rivers is an interesting one. I like any ruling on the field overturned by a coach's challenge. The way officiating has been in the NFL this year, it's been, lackluster to say the least. I think we could see some bad flags tomorrow, see some rulings on the field get overturned by a challenge, perhaps. So that line is at plus 115. I think.
I actually had that exact same bet on my list.
Yeah, I like that one. It's a slick one. Going back to yours as well, Brady's completions bet, that could be hit too. He does a lot of underneath things, so that's very likely, in my opinion. In the Tyreek Hill one, he burnt this team the first time around in the regular season. He catches a lot of passes, not against just this team, but against any team with his speed, screens, flies. I like that catch. The over-under clip as well, 7.5 receptions on Tyreek Hill. So that's just a couple gambling things or bets that me and Steven like in our opinions on the game. Hopefully you guys could win some money off of those if you do listen to us, and if you don't, well, sorry. There's crazy things. You could even bet largest lead of the game, 14.5 points. I don't know if we'll see a lead bigger than 14 points. That's an interesting one. You never know. There's just a lot of crazy things you could bet. Tom Brady's Super Bowls are known to be comeback type stories when he wins, and the Chiefs are known to put a beating on a lot of teams, so it could get over 14 points. You never know what the hell happens.
Here, I got one question about a Brady prop bet for you.
Go ahead.
The over-under on his rushing yards is 0.5. Do you think he hits the over?
Okay, so this is tough because he might get that couple rushing attempts for that half yard. So you're going to give him like 2 or 3 shots at getting a yard, probably on a sneak or on a touchdown. But then if you think that the Bucs are going to win the game and perhaps get into victory formation at some point, you have to assume that that could be up to minus 1.5, minus 3 yards in rushing there. I'm going to go with the Bucs winning the game, but I do think Brady gets a yard. I'm just not sure if they're ending in that victory form or if their defense is going to do it for them. I like Brady's chances. I like Super Bowl Brady getting over that half yard. For some reason, I think he's going to be running a couple times tomorrow, having a couple chances, and he's really good on quarterback sneaks. I think he might have 1 or 2 rushing yards, and then I don't think the Bucs on the game in victory formation. If anything, I think their defense is going to have to make a stop to win our team the game. So I'm going with the over on the half rushing yard. I don't know why. I think, it just amounts to some Tom Brady rushing potential. But also another bet I don't hate out there. Don't be surprised. There's an offense or defense alignment to score a touchdown bet. I don't know. I think there could be some trickery tomorrow. We've seen the Chiefs do it with Dontari Poe back in the day. We've seen William Refrigerator Perry get a crack. We could very well see Vita Vea get a crack at a touchdown tomorrow, in my opinion.
We actually talked about that on the Tuesday Armchair Quarterbacks. We referred to that as the ACQB touchdown. Plus 800 on DraftKings. It's like they actually call it a fat man touchdown.
That's funny. I forget what, but I think Rivers just calls it a lineman touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, something along those lines. But real quick here, Steven, couple questions just about fantasy before we let you go.
Yep.
One quarterback most you like coming out of this year's draft class that you would draft in fantasy football in the 2021 season. Which quarterback rookie do you like the most, and which rookie quarterback in this upcoming draft class who's projected high do you like the least? Is it a Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence? Is it a Trey Lance, Zach Wilson? Who are you avoiding? Who are you targeting out of these young quarterbacks coming into the fantasy football umbrella in 2021?
I mean, this is going to be the obvious answer, but Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's going to walk into a pretty well equipped offense, new coach, new coordinator, one of the best prospects we've seen since Andrew Luck. I mean, he's the obvious choice. Like, you just go get him in your drafts. I honestly haven't done too much research into this draft class, but I really think the Jets are going to pick a quarterback here, and whichever one they take, I don't think it's going to be a slam dunk this year.
Yeah, I think that's a synopsis on their picks every year, perhaps at the quarterback position in general. And it'll be interesting to see because I really thought they were going to once again go with kind of an offensive minded head coach to take over and try and either fix Sam Darnold or draft a high quarterback, like you said, because there are so many this year, whether they get a Justin Fields, whether they get a Lance, whether they get a Zach Wilson, whether they get the kid Mac, yeah, from, just a bunch of quarterbacks out there they could take. And here they hired Rob Saleh, and I don't mind that hire, but it'll be interesting to see how the Jets approach it with a defensive-minded head coach, what they're going to do at the quarterback position. Obviously, we have a lot of these young offensive-minded head coach like Sean McVay, et cetera, get hired lately and try and draft a quarterback and groom him, et cetera, et cetera. Last question before we let you go, Steven. What's on the game day menu for tomorrow? Any good eats intact for the Super Bowl? I know people do a bunch of different things. Some people do wings, some people do pizza, some people don't do nothing special. Anything in particular that you got on your menu for tomorrow's Super Bowl 55?
So I will be at a wedding tomorrow during the Super Bowl.
Oh,
yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, there's going to be some TVs there, but whatever the bride serves is what I'll be eating.
yeah, you can't go wrong with that. At least there's TVs there. So you're going to be celebrating two great things at once, perhaps. You're going to be celebrating football's biggest game of the year, and you're going to be celebrating, a wedding, which is one of life's biggest accomplishments for those people out there. So that's incredible. Truly, congratulations to whoever's wedding you will be attending, and hopefully you could be watching Tom Brady win his 7th ring at that wedding.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen.
Hey, whatever happens, we should be in for a good one. Mahomes, Brady, battle of the two best of all time. So it's going to be great, going to be interesting. As I keep saying, to me, if Brady wins, he's forever cemented as a GOAT. To me, if Mahomes wins, he's on the trajectory to eventually at least give him the run for his money. So whatever happens, it should be a really fun game. Chiefs have the upper hand, 1-0. And, kind of a 2-week period that's flown by, a couple drama things here and there. Sad news out of Kansas City this week with the Britt Reed accident as well. So I think a lot of people are just glad the game is going to be finally here, and a lot of people are looking forward to kickoff.
No, yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, it really will cement Brady's legacy if he gets his win, but I don't think no matter what happens with Mahomes, he's on that Mike Trout route. If he stays healthy and keeps doing what he's doing, he will be the GOAT.
Do you think? And did you hear before we let you go quick? Did you hear that Brady was thinking about wearing number 7 this year because he was chasing his 7th ring? Actually,
I did not hear that.
Because he was actually going to let maybe Chris Godwin keep number 12, and he was thinking about taking ring number 7. He didn't ask Chris Godwin to change numbers. Godwin was like, "Hey man, I changed to 14. I'm leaving 12 to you." And that's when Brady's like, "Oh, well, if Godwin's giving me 12, I'll take 12." He was going to take number 7 because he wanted ring 7.
Well, there's a narrative story for you.
Right, pretty crazy there. Pretty wild story there. Steven, thanks so much. Once again, where can the people follow you at before we let you go?
That's Texas Trosh on Twitter.
All right, you can follow him at Texas Trosh on Twitter. Steven, thanks so much. Good luck with your bets and pools and everything else you got going forward with your DFS lineups as well.
That sounds good. Have a good day.
Yeah, talk to you soon. You have a great day as well. That's Steven, frequent contributor to the Time Skew Zone. We always look forward to talking to him. Writes about DFS, writes for fantasy football with Time Skew, and covers things on the Armchair Quarterback Show a couple times a week as well. So that's pretty cool. As we switch gears here, we had a Chiefs prediction with Steven. We might have a different prediction with our next guest coming in. We got a lifelong Bucs fan, a season ticket holder, was in the Tampa Bay Times this past week, and one of the Buccaneers podcast, actually a proud member of the TSP, and one of their great co-hosts, Tampa Stunna, Buccaneers Stunna, about to join us for about 20 more minutes as we talk Buccaneers Chiefs Super Bowl. Stunna, how we doing today?
Living the dream, buddy. How you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for joining us. It looks like you're enjoying the nice weather there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's paradise.
Yeah, and how are the vibes out there in Florida with the Super Bowl almost 24 hours away?
Well, I'm sitting outside University Mall. These couple people just walked in with Chiefs shirts, and they were getting hazed pretty hard. So I think the whole city's behind our team, and we're very excited to see how we do tomorrow.
Oh, I wish I was down there. I bet the Buccaneers army is tremendous, sticking up against Chiefs fans right now.
Yeah, it's well overdue. Well overdue.
How's the mall looking? A lot of Bucs fans, or are you only one representing?
No, I see car flags out here. I've seen quite a few Bucs masks and Bucs gear on. The city's, especially University Mall, this part of town, the city's definitely going to be behind the team.
Yeah, the city's going to be behind the team for sure. And this is our first time hosting the Super Bowl since, 2008?
Might have been. I know it was the Cardinals Steelers game. I don't remember the exact year.
And what were the vibes like compared to that Super Bowl compared to this one? Obviously, the Buccaneers weren't in that one. How are the vibes now that we're able to embrace our own team in the city?
There's probably more activities as far as the NFL experience then, and then now it's like more people are excited. It wasn't the level of excitement going on back then there is now.
Yeah, and I bet you a lot of people are just through the roof there, so it's probably crazy time. Real quick,
Absolutely.
before we dig deeper into the Super Bowl, I want to ask you about another bowl, the Senior Bowl. Did you happen to catch the Senior Bowl? And if so, anyone catch your eye that might make an impact in next year's draft?
I did watch it. Like I already said, I like the edge rusher from Pitt. I like the center from Wisconsin Whitewater, I think. That was a small school guy that really showed out. I like the tight end for Bowling Green, even though he had some drops. The quarterback from Texas A&M won the MVP, and he really kind of showed out. So it's a lot of good players coming out, and I just hope that we can continue to build on our legacy of replacing whoever we lose as a starter with a first-round pick, even though it's going to be 32 this year. We got to, I really believe in our draft room, though, and I think we'll do fine.
Yeah, especially the way that Jason White's been drafting quickly, real quick here. What are your thoughts on Jason White and the tremendous job that he's done with drafting? I mean, to me, it's been incredible ever since the one draft class that was broken with Ryan Smith being the last man standing.
Well, I like Jason White because, he did, even though like the 2014 draft, we got, a future Hall of Famer Mike Evans, but then none of the other picks did a whole lot of good. And, he never did really draft good late until BA got here. But ever since BA has been here, we tend to draft a lot better now. And so, I like our draft room, but I like the influx of BA's brought to them as well.
Speaking of BA, that brings me to my next question. Who's your favorite coach in Buccaneers history, and who would you say your least favorite coach has been in the history of the Buccaneers?
Well, I definitely say that the current coach is probably my favorite because the way we go out and shellac teams. We really never hit nobody with that stick like that. Least favorite, definitely Ray Perkins. He was not my favorite at all.
Yeah, Ray Perkins did some interesting things back in the day. I know we talked about 3-a-days at one point in time and crazy things like that. And now we got a coach, Bruce Arians, drinking Crown Royal, celebrating on the team bus. Gotta love it.
Yeah, big difference. Big difference between Ray Perkins, who was, terrible front office, as opposed to now where we really take care of our veterans and we really do a good job drafting players.
And I got to tell you what, these uniforms, I wasn't sure about another uniform change, but man, these things are beautiful. And, it's really reminiscent of the good days, the good Buccaneers days with the John Gruden, with the Tony Dungy a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely had to happen. The clock jerseys, the winning percentage was comparable to the creamsicles. So they really had to go in another direction. And, who would have thought a uniform change would have brought us this much fortune?
Yeah, once again, we are here celebrating Super Bowl Saturday with none other than Tampa Stunna. And just a lifelong Bucs fan, season ticket holder. Stunna, I want to talk to you about being in the Tampa Bay Times article, and you gave your opinions on Tom Brady. What's your love and passion for the GOAT, and how happy were you when he decided to come to Tampa?
I was just very excited when he came to Tampa because it gave us legitimate, championships quarterback, and he lifts up the whole city. He lifts up the team. He lifts up the environment. He lifts up the culture that's in one place. And then what he does outside with the community service, he's lifting up everybody. So it's just that he was really just a remarkable guy, and anybody hating on him is just a hater or stan of a third string quarterback for the Saints.
And speaking of Jameis Winston, who I believe you're referring to, third quarterback in the Saints, what do you think is the biggest difference between Jameis Winston and Tom Brady in Tampa Bay? I mean, it was pretty similar team besides Gronk, Lunny F, and Wirfs. I know they are three big pieces, but besides that, it's pretty much the same. What's the biggest difference in this team with Winston and Brady?
Team football. I was at the Texans game. If you could take a picture of Dominican Sue's face when he had to go back on the field after that fourth interception, it just the look on his face just told you that they were sick of it. So it's more of a team football now where the offense and defense feed off each other, where before the defense would just be, overwhelmed by the offenses, like Bruce Arians used to say, the kindest team in football. We let everyone start out with a 14-point lead. So it was pretty silly, actually. So it's just just the seriousness or the attention to detail or the lack of not being a clown is a lot of what has us favored with Tom Brady.
And both games I went to last year started with an interception. Chiefs and Colts. Cardinals and Colts, I'm sorry.
Correct. If you look at our two home wins last year, the Colts and the Cardinals, the quarterback play was terrible.
I think we won both those because I was there.
Yeah, those are our two wins. That's what I'm saying. Even in a win, it was humiliating.
I got to go more often than maybe if I were to go, we'd win every home game. No, we obviously seen what Tom Brady could do in home games. Like you said, turnovers were a big part of this derailment the past couple of years and failure to win at home.
Yeah, we're a better team. We just a lot of our secondary, they just came in last year. And, we just gotten better every week. So we're just a better team now because of our defense and buying into the culture of BA as well.
Yeah, real quick here. I just want to ask you about some Madden questions quick with the Super Bowl. I seen you tweeting at Swami earlier. What's going on? Are they still dissing the Buccaneers with Madden? And is he going to come on the Buccaneers podcast?
He's gone on other podcasts such as the Browns and other organizations like that. I don't know why they disrespect our team. Our secondary, Jordan Whitehead, I think they brought him up to a 76. It's like they promote that they increased playoff Lenny's stats, but he was at 82. They dropped him, and then they bump him up a little bit and talk about they're bumping him up. They've always disrespected our team. There's teams on there that are non-playoff teams that we got players ranked higher than ours. And, it's just a slap in the face. We're in the Super Bowl. I mean, all these years when I've tried to argue for the ratings, they said your team sucks, they lose. Well, now we're in the Super Bowl. What's the argument? There's even, today they're tweeting about the Saints quarterback play, or they're tweeting about Deshaun Watson. They're ignoring the fact that we're in the Super Bowl. And it's because they're just biased against our team, and there's some haters. I mean, that's just the way it is. And until we get a voice, heard, they're going to continue to get away with it.
And that's why I really want them to come on the Buccateers so we could perhaps get some sense to him about these ratings.
Hey, I would stay out of it. We would just go on Twitter. We would say, post your questions. Let the questions fall as they may, and make them accountable and have to answer to what they've done to our team.
Yeah, what is our rating by chance? Do you know our overall rating on Madden right now?
I don't know our overall rating, but all our corners are in the low 80s. Our offensive line, they still have Donovan Smith at a 71.
71?
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, I was playing San Francisco, and he was getting beat up. And I'm like, bro, 49ers are trash. But there's teams on there like our O-line, our front seven, we're like one of the easiest teams to run on, okay? And we have the number one running defense, 2 years running. So, for them to have to increase, our hitting power or increase, our block shedding, then they would have to make our team great, and they don't want to make our team great, even though our team is great.
Yeah, that is terrible. And I believe in the preseason too, Evan White or Levante David, you said it's like they're stuck in mud on run defense.
Yeah, it's terrible. Our guys get blocked every time. You'll go to play against somebody else. Their people will be in the backfield. Teams like the Colts defensive front is dominating us. And I'm like, bro, we played them last year and beat them up. So, but it's whatever, man. Like I said, until they got to answer questions about the ratings, they're going to continue to get away with it.
Yeah, they're going to have to, answer these questions. Come on, Buccateers podcast. We're going to line up the questions, and we're going to let the people ask them and answer.
That's it. Hey, I don't even have to be involved. Just line up the questions and let it fall where it's may. Either you're going to tell the truth, or you're going to slide from the truth. But when you slide from the truth, it's going to be exposed. So either way, you've got to be accountable to these questions as to why our team is still rated. Our secondary is rated worse than the Washington football team. Okay, our front is rated lower than Philadelphia. Okay, you're talking about teams that can't even get on the field with us. So it's really silly.
Wow, we have a comment here saying Colts interior tackle Buckner would own Jensen in Madden. Any thoughts on that, Stunna?
What happened?
We have a live comment from a fan saying Buckner would own Jensen in Madden. Colts defensive lineman DeForest Buckner would own Ryan Jensen in Madden. They say, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, in Madden, of course, but in real life, we know that wouldn't happen. Okay, so we got a film to prove that wouldn't happen. The Madden says if it's in the game, it's in the game. So yeah, in Madden that would happen because you have ours rated low. Richie Incognito is rated higher than Ali Marpet in Madden. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? It's an insult. They bring us to our whole offensive line. We got 89, 89, 88. Why wouldn't they put them over 90? Because if they put them over 90, they'll be great, and they're great in real life, but they don't want to give us that credit. They don't want to give us that respect because they disrespect the Buccaneers because there's some haters.
Yeah, and there was actually a great article on ESPN saying Ryan Jensen is the NFL's best center now.
Easily.
And
easily. They have the center from Green Bay rated higher than him. The center from Green Bay, no, you're not in the same scheme as Ryan. You're not in a zone scheme. You're in a gap scheme. You're getting help every time. It's not even comparable.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Ryan Jensen is a premier center. But at least, you're honest. You said Buckner and Madden would win. You said Jensen in real life would win. So at least that's what you're thinking. So I would love to see what EA Swami says about our ratings. They obviously need to raise him. Donovan Smith being a 71 to me is the biggest.
Aaron Stinney is a 57. Aaron
Aaron
Stinney.
Stinney at 57.
Yes, the man that dominated that front from the Saints, but he gets no credit because he plays for the Bucks.
Starting right guard in the Super Bowl, 57 overall, protecting Tom Brady.
That's correct.
That is a shame. That's pretty disgusting to me that EA Sports even allows stuff like that to happen. I'd like to compare the Chiefs to the Bucks ratings and see how user-friendly they are.
It won't be. Let me tell you something. The Chiefs' defense is highly overrated on Madden.
Oh, their overalls are jacked up.
They have them rated like they're the 89 Bears or something. I mean 85 Bears. It's ridiculous. Like it's so funny because it's funny watching you get locked down by some no names. You know what I mean? It's like who even is this? But you can lock my players, all my my three number one receivers basically, but I get locked down by these no name players from scrub teams. It's silly. It's silly, but it's a bias, and unfortunately, in Madden, it's all about ratings. If you go to catch the ball and I'm defending you, if you're rated higher than me, you'll catch the ball. That's just how the game's set up.
That's how it's always been. Sadly, no change ever to Madden. That's why I know a lot of people wish that 2K would have gotten the rights back to football and EA would have lost it. But that's a story for another day.
Corruption. What are you gonna do?
Yep, corruption, exactly. Tampa used to not be in the media darling. We had Rob Parker, Skip Bayless, Max Kellerman, all those guys hating on us pretty much all year now.
Well, not Skip. Skip's been because
Skip likes us. I'm sorry. Max Kellerman, Rob Parker, Nick Wright.
Cowherd.
Yeah, Cowherd and all those guys.
Yeah, they're all haters. Nobody. Everyone wants to kick down the small market team, but guess what? We're in the show.
Yeah, and I guess in theory, it's two smaller market teams in the show, so not much they can do here. Real quickly, I just want to ask you a lot of questions surrounding the media this week, and a lot of questions about Bruce Arians and Andy Reid. A lot of people would take Andy Reid over Bruce Arians. What are your thoughts on that and all these Andy Reid fans in favor of him over Bruce Arians?
Well, Bruce Arians, it took him a long time to get a head coaching job. So Andy Reid has a bigger, sample size, sort of say. So he's been coaching a lot longer. That's probably why he has more fans. Bruce Arians, he didn't get a head coaching job until he, took over for the Colts during Pagano's cancer. So, and plus BA, his first job was with Arizona, second job with Tampa. Those are two minor market teams where a team like Philadelphia, right there, next to New York City and the number one media outlet, of course he's going to be more popular. But popularity ain't going to win the game. It's going to be whoever comes up with the best game plan.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And real quick here, we do have the Hall of Fame announcement coming today. We have two potentials, Lynch and Barber. Do you think either of them gets in? I mean, there's some tough guys competing: Kelvin Johnson, Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne. The list goes on and on.
Well, it would make sense that one of them would get in, at least, being that we're hosting the Super Bowl. But like we already know, you never know because we're, not the media darlings, and we really get hated on a lot by the national press. So you never know with something like that's a popularity contest how it's going to end up. But we definitely should get that nod, you would think, based on, being the home team and that they usually have the guys come out at halftime or whatever before the game that are in the Hall of Fame.
That would be incredible if we had one of Barber or Lynch representing in the Super Bowl in the Hall of Fame. That would be incredible. Real quick here before we let you go, did you happen to catch that commercial with Brady and Gronk, the one that they won't let show?
Yes, I think that the reason they nixed it is because they gave negative connotations to being soft and weak. And a lot of these people that are in charge of, the meat stuff are soft and weak. That's probably why they decided not to let that show.
Yeah, I'm really confused why they won't let it show myself. You think it's CBS or you think
it's anti-masculine. I mean, it's these anti-masculine people that it's just too much toxic masculinity going on there with football players talking about they don't want to be seen as being weak. So it's really sad and ridiculous, but it's what we deal with society currently.
2021, scary times we live in. Stunna, thanks so much. We'll be catching up with you again later in the Bucketeers. Where can the people follow you at on Twitter?
It's at Tampa Styles 1 on Twitter, and you know, just if you want to follow me, just hit the Bucketeers up and with a question, and I'll respond.
Yeah, Stunna is one of the Bucketeers' very own. Ask him a question, he'll respond. He's our Madden expert, our season ticket holder, and so much more at the Bucketeers. Stunna, I look forward to talking with you and the guys later.
All right, peace, my brother.
All right, peace until later, my friend. Thanks for coming down.
No issues. Holla.
Bye. So that was Tampa Stunna, an incredible member of the Bucketeers podcast. Like I said, our main Madden guy, very knowledgeable of the game of Madden. He had some things to say about that and the ratings of Madden. He's actually invited on some Madden overall rating gurus onto our show, the Bucketeers or Skew Zone. We'll see if we're lucky enough to get either of those natures on. And then we'll see what happens there. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can explore the nature of Madden either on the Skew Zone or on the Bucketeers. With me, with Stunna, with EA Swami, whoever. And then Stunna's also very knowledgeable as he's a season ticket holder. So just a very good fan of the Buccaneers. He had a lot of good things to say. Named his favorite coach, least favorite coach, just talking some Buccaneers history, Buccaneers football, and Super Bowl talk with Buccaneers Stunna. And we were also lucky enough to be joined by Stephen Troche, and you can follow them on Twitter today at Where They Named. We're going to be going live here for a couple more minutes or so on the Skew Zone at Time Skew, and we had so much fun so far today. Like I said, our own Bucketeers, which I host, is going live later, 6 Central tonight, to do Super Bowl coverage. We'll be having Time Skew's very own Anthony Gator on the show, former Buccaneers cornerback, excuse me. He was in an interview for Time Skew earlier this year. We're lucky enough to have him join in live, so that'll be a lot of fun to discuss and attack the big game and see what's going on, latest up to the minute Super Bowl news and more. Real quick, we're going to go on and see if there's any updates, any late breaking news, any rumors to be had before we log off and let you guys enjoy your Saturday and do what you got to do until you're back with us later tonight on the Buccaneers. So it's Super Bowl in Tampa, and it's going to be interesting to see who's active tomorrow, who's not active tomorrow. And the Chiefs incident involving Britt Reed is surfacing. Pro Football Talk says following Thursday night's car crash, Chiefs outside linebackers coach Britt Reed won't be with the team for the Super Bowl 55. So there you have it. Chiefs linebackers coach is set to miss. I'm praying for all involved. That's truly tragic. So that'll be interesting as well. Other NFL news around the league: Packers leaning towards hiring Joe Barry as defensive coordinator. NFL Trade Rumors.co reports on Twitter that the Packers are leaning towards hiring Joe Barry is defensive coordinator. Obviously, Barry would be coming over from the Rams, so that's very interesting there as well. Derrick Henry doesn't think Emmitt Smith's all-time rushing record will ever be broken. That's coming from one of the better running backs in the NFL right now, Derrick Henry. Obviously, trade talks are heating up for Carson Wentz. The Bears are mentioned to be a front runner there, so we'll see what happens. Some say the Bears are bidding against themselves. Some say that other teams are very well so involved and interested. So that's interesting. Sources say if the Kansas City Chiefs do win the Super Bowl, there will be no parade due to COVID concern. Again, that's per sources. So that is interesting to see what happens. Very interesting to see with these parades. I would imagine if the Buccaneers win, they will probably do a boat parade such as the Lightning did for winning. That would take place on the waters at Tampa Bay. That would be a lot of fun for the fans, I think. And then Peter Schrager actually just brought up, he tweeted in September 10th that he has the Chiefs over the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, so hopefully that doesn't go well. And then Chiefs activating center Daniel Kilgore from the COVID-19 list. Obviously, Kilgore was placed on that list earlier this week after a Chiefs barber had, be cutting people's hair. He's good to go according to multiple reports as well. And then Tom Moore, Buccaneers 82-year-old assistant coach, has said yesterday that he does want to continue coaching until he is dead, pretty much. So hats off to you, sir. Hats off to you, Tom Moore. That's just incredible on Super Bowl week. So a lot of news going around. A lot of action heating up. Former NFL safety Jim Leonard declines chance to become Packers defensive coordinator. Leonard will remain in Wisconsin at the defensive coordinator position. So that is all the latest news around the league, surrounding the NFL, and so much more. There's so much to learn, so much to digest between now and fall kickoff for not only fantasy, but around the league as well. And then Andy Reid, Super Bowl update regarding his status. If there were any questions about whether or not head coach Andy Reid will travel to Tampa, I was told he will get on the plane today and go coach in Sunday's game, per sources. It's Diana Ruzzini, ESPN Zone, so very reliable source there as well. And then head on over to Timeskew Fantasy Football at timeskewed.com to check out their latest fantasy article. We all know what's happening at number 1 in the 2021 draft. Or do we? An intro to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars' latest and greatest information at timeskew.com on the future of Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. So that was written by Kevin. Very good piece there by our very own Kevin. And you could follow him at Pasty White M4N. So that's very interesting there. Also, we've had episodes all week on Timeskew. We've had 2 or 3 videos this week. You can catch them on YouTube, Google, Apple, Spotify, and so much more. Catch up with Timeskew Fantasy Football Podcast. You never want to be late. You never want to miss a day. Once again, we have many proud podcasts in our podcast network. We have Cleve and Me, a wrestling podcast. Tremendous work there. We have Chain Clankers, a disc golf podcast. We have Buccaneers. Get all your latest Super Bowl news and more about your Buccaneers at the Buccaneers. Big Rican on sports. Just had a great episode, and he'll be live Monday night with some great crew as well, going over baseball and football hot stoves. So that should be a lot of fun. And then just a couple other armchair quarterback show. Very good guys over there. They do a number of things in their CBS affiliates. They cover all sports, so very cool. Fugazi Sports, obviously, and then the flagship show, Timeskew Fantasy, goes over a plethora of things, mainly fantasy football. So going to be a good time. I hope everyone who is going to the Super Bowl is going to be safe, is going to have a great time. Whoever's heading down to Tampa, I hope it's awesome. Whoever's enjoying it at their houses, I hope it's a really good, party, really good theme, really good food, whatever you're doing. So it's going to be fun. It's the Super Bowl. Enjoy it, even with the weird times. It's going to be a really good time. I know a lot of my pals, a lot of my buddies are currently in Tampa right now. It looks fun. I'm really supposed to go in April with the gang to WrestleMania, so that should be a good time. Tampa keeps getting ripped off opportunities, but perhaps between the Super Bowl and WrestleMania, a lot could be done. A lot of good could come from the city of Tampa. So a lot of good things going on right now. Chiefs Bucks tomorrow will be really fun. A lot of great guys competing. 2 of the best quarterbacks ever going at it. And then a lot of good stuff today. A lot of good podcasts today. We have JP Peterson doing a show today on CBS Sports in the Tampa area. We have the Pewter Report. We have Loose Cannon Super Bowl Blitz continuing with John Ledyard of Pewter Report today at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then tonight, the Buccaneers welcome Anthony Gator, Bucko the Bruce, Killa Huncho, and Stunna onto the show along myself. So that'll be a lot of fun. We just have so much fun covering Tampa Bay, and I'm sure the Chiefs are doing a lot of great things as well. If you are a member of Chiefs Twitter, I'm sure you're having a great time catching up and staying tuned in the Super Bowl week as well. So we got a couple more minutes in this hour-long show of the Skew Zone. We were going to do a half hour, but between Stunna, between Steven, we had a lot of good talks going. Why not finish strong? Why not finish with an hour? We have Super Bowl 55 tomorrow, and honestly, it's getting interesting. 55th Super Bowl. Tom Brady is now not only played in 45 Super Bowls, so this will be his 10th Super Bowl played in. If you do the numbers, that is pretty incredible amount of Super Bowls he has played in. The math speaks for itself. Tom Brady has played in 18.2% of Super Bowls in our lifetime. So pretty much, if you've been alive for every Super Bowl, 1 out of every 5 in your life has had Tom Brady in it. Win or loss, Tom Brady's been in 1 of every 5 Super Bowls. This is a talent we got to enjoy. We've seen a quarterback like Phillip Rivers retire this year. You like these guys or you hate these guys, you got to respect them. You're going to miss these guys. Just like when Aaron Rodgers goes. Just like when other great quarterbacks left too. Just like when Drew Brees will hang it up. You're going to miss all these quarterbacks playing in the National Football League. We had the first wave go down not too long ago. That was pretty sad. You know, Brett Favre retired, Kurt Warner retired, Eli Manning retired. A lot of these great quarterbacks retired. Donovan McNabb retired as well. Pretty soon we're going to have wave number 2, which is going to feature Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Alex Smith. You know, a lot of great quarterbacks from our lifetime are going to soon be retiring. And this is why you got to enjoy the NFL. This is why you got to treat every week like it is a treat. Because you simply just don't know what you have until it's gone. So one day you're going to be sitting on your couch with your kids down the road and you're going to be like, remember when Tom Brady did this? Remember when Peyton Manning did that? Remember when Donovan McNabb and the Eagles lost to the Bucks in 2002, you know, to shut down the vet? There's going to be a lot of things to be said, a lot of great memories to be brought up, a lot of quarterbacks to be missed. So we're going to miss these guys a lot. Appreciate them now. Treasure them now, because the quarterbacks of tomorrow are never guaranteed. Look at a Robert Griffin. Injury happened, boom. Career cut way too short. You just never know. Look at Andrew Luck. He was in a Hall of Fame trajected career. He could still come out of retirement, not looking likely, but if he did, he'd be the most sought after quarterback. Obviously, he's still contracted by the Colts, but his career ended too short. You just never know with these younger guys. Kyler Murray likes to run. Lamar Jackson likes to run. They put their bodies at risk a little bit more than the pocket passers did from back in the day. So a lot shorter careers. So you got to enjoy these quarterbacks while you have them. You got to enjoy these NFL athletes while you have them, because the stars of today are gone tomorrow. And once they retire, you don't get them back. So enjoy tomorrow's Super Bowl. Don't take it for granted. This is like getting a Kobe LeBron NBA Finals or a MJ Kobe NBA Finals. You have 2 of the best of all time going at it. You have the Michael Jordan, who's Tom Brady, and you have the Kobe Bryant and Patrick Mahomes. Like, imagine if you got a Kobe, Michael Jordan NBA Finals. That would be, people wouldn't know what to do. This is what we're getting tomorrow. Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this one unfolds. Today is an exciting day. Make sure you enjoy these next 24 plus hours before it is Super Bowl, before it is kickoff, before your ass is glued to your chair and you don't want to leave your seat. Get your bets in. Me and Steven went over some bets that we like, some prop bets we like, some money lines if we like, some spreads we like. He gave score prediction. And then if you are lucky enough to play Madden, make sure you let your voices be heard. If you don't like your roster, like Tampa Stunna doesn't let EA Swami live down that he did rip off the Buccaneers in ratings so far to this point, but he has time to make up for it if the Bucs do win the Super Bowl. So as we close out here in the next minute, I just want to give a thank you to Time Skew for allowing me to do this great Super Bowl edition of the Skew Zone. It's been a lot of fun today with our guest, Stephen Troche and Tampa Stunna. 2 incredible guys who gave their thoughts on not only the game, but the Senior Bowl, fantasy football next year, the NFL draft upcoming, and so much more. They gave their Twitter handles where you can find them. You can find me on Twitter at TrickyTonesBGTE, where I do some work for Time Skew. I got the Bucketeers podcast, Cardboard and Cracker Jacks podcast, and more. I'm just happy to be given some great content, and I'm happy to be part of the Time Skew family, who's really a great group of guys and does do some great fantasy content. So, guys, once again, look for these mugs. I know it was a rough spill at start, but it ended strong. Thanks for coming into the Skew Zone. Final one of the 2020 football season, even though we're in 2021. Tampa Tones is out. Enjoy the Super Bowl 55. Go Bucks.